Well. I hate that I did that. Okay. Let's start this thing over. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the video. I'm Melissa. I write books. It is that time of year again. The air is crisp. The leaves are falling. NaNoWriMo is calling, but it's not anymore, actually. If you have been offline, climbing a mountain, looking into the void, writing on physical paper for the last 2 years, you might not know the artist formerly known as NaNoWriMo, the program, website, nonprofit, has been laid to rest after much tumult. If you would like to just relive the drama is not the right word because there was actually very serious accusations and true, just like things happening. But I do have a playlist on this channel called The Nano Situation, which kind of outlines some of the things that went on around NaNoWriMo. My video started around the summer, I believe. But, the scandals began much earlier than that. To sum it up, use of partnering with generative AI locations, which is obviously a big no-no in the writing community. It's just a threat to us all generally. And also there was, more notably, a federal investigation into some bad things happening with minors on the chat room. So that is obviously the big one. It's been so long since I talked about this. I feel like we used to talk about this all the time. But because of that, NaNoWriMo is now gone and has been for a while. And so that brings us to the question of what the heck are we doing in November? Now, I'm not the first one to ask this question. And there have been many, many, many organizations and replacements that have popped up last year and onto this year as well. Most notably, I don't even know if this is really considered a replacement, but it's called Nano 2.0. Kate Kavanaugh has a video on this that I'm sure you have seen. There's a new website back up. It is run by the people who originally, there were some original people starting it up again who were not involved in all of the shady business to my knowledge. That is there, which I think is basically just like I'm looking at the website and it's literally just like resources. There's no more chat rooms. There's not really like in-person meetups or anything like that happening. It's essentially just a bunch of links on a website. But I think it's nice because it gives people the chance to say, okay, I'm doing NaNoWriMo again without having this affiliation to like all of the nasty, which I think people were doing anyway. I think there was kind of a movement last year in the thick of all of this to use the word NaNoWriMo as the event rather than the organization. And of course, there were some issues with that because aren't you technically leading people to the organization by talking about the event? But now that the bad guy is gone, has been conquered and vanquished, and there's basically just a new website with links and spreadsheets where you can track your words. So that exists. So if you want to just do NaNoWriMo, which if you're unaware is writing 50,000 words of a new book in the month, you're definitely welcome to. But there are also lots of other challenges that have popped up. Please feel free to comment down below if you've heard any that I don't mention, and I will try to create a pinned comment and list them all that you guys mentioned. But here's the thing. I'm really bad at commenting back. This is just an aside to this whole video, but I see all of your comments and I love them all and I appreciate you all so much, but I just don't respond to comments very often. I'm trying to get better about it. Really, truly, I am. I'm not just ghosting you. I do see them and I feel warm things. I just have a hard time writing back. I don't know why. I just don't like words of affirmation. And so it's hard for me to respond. But thank you for all of your kind words. Anyway, most notably there is here on YouTube, Sarah Cannon over at Heartbreathings is doing the Rough Draft Challenge. I believe there is like a pretty simple website that you can do. And there's lots of different tiers. So if you wanted to write 20,000, 25,000 words, 50,000 words, 10,000 words. There's different tiers for that so that you can set a goal that is more like if you don't want to go for the 50K, you could set a more customizable goal and be part of that. There's also, I believe, something going on at Readsy. There is a NaNoWriMo alternatives mega thread on Reddit, which I got overwhelmed just by looking at, but I will try to link that down below too, so you can see if you want to pick one. But it looks like there's prizes for the Readsy Word Sprint, and you can win an introduction to a literary agent. So I should look and see what this means. I'm curious if this is free. Okay, I did a little bit of digging and more reading on this website, and it seems like in order to to qualify for any of the prizes, you have to use the Readsy word processor, which is free, but there's a premium version that I think allows you to have more features. And he says in order to actually be a part of the challenge, you have to physically type the words in the word processor, not copy and paste them. So, I think it's great that they have this. I do think it is a little bit of a motivation for people to use their software. But it is good prize. So if you are interested in the $5,000 first prize that you could potentially win, all the top 3 placements get a literary agent intro and a cash prize. So, but I think it's random. I think you do it and then you're in a drawing for those things. And then I think if you hit the 50,000 words, you get 3 months free of the premium version of their word processor. So if you want to do that, that sounds great. But also there are lots of challenges going on where you don't need to use a certain software or pay. So you don't have to pay, but if you wanted the premium version, you would need to. So essentially you can pick your own goal. You can do whatever you want. I think, but it is kind of, makes me a little bit sad because it used to be NaNoWriMo, we all do this thing together that we're all doing together, right? Were there downsides even before all of the calamity? Yes, maybe 50,000 words wasn't your jam. November's kind of a busy month anyway. We have done this whole song and dance, I feel on the internet, of going through is NaNoWriMo even good? But I think we can all kind of remember and reminisce on the time when everybody did NaNoWriMo, whether you were a rebel or whether you were doing it strictly. And so I think it's okay to mourn that a little while also going forward into whatever goal you want to set. I think at the core of this is to set a goal that you think is achievable for the month of November, whether that be NaNoWriMo, the 50,000 words, or whether you do the rough draft challenge, whether you do the Readsy word sprint, or others thereupon. The beauty of writing in November is knowing that other people are writing in November beside you. That is, I think, what myself and everyone else on authortube is going to strive to do this November. So the real point of this video is to talk. I just turned into such a Minnesotan, but the real point of this video is to talk about what I personally am doing for NaNoWriMo. So if you are brand spanking new, to give you a little bit of a history recap lesson, for the last 2 Novembers, I have done daily videos in the month of November where I was dictating the first draft of a novel. And so I believe in 2023, I wrote something 86,000 words. And then last year in 2024, I wrote 90,000 words, which was crazy and insane. And both times I was dictating, so I was using voice to text. I will, both of those playlists are here on my channel if you want to watch those 30 days of vlogs. This year, my intention had been to write 50,000 words, do the traditional NaNoWriMo of the second book of my fantasy duology. I'm just wrapping up the first book, or I will hopefully be, I think, in the next week here, which is kind of if you're caught up on my videos, you might be Alyssa, what do you mean? I'm a little behind on vlogging, but I'm ahead on writing. So a few weeks ago, I was accepted into the Smooch Fit mentorship, which is so exciting. But that means I will be doing likely a large edit on my thriller known as Project Gas Station here on this channel, which is a fake dating bank robbery book. And I don't quite know what this November is going to look like in terms of projects. I'm hoping that by the time we get to November, I have a little bit more solid of a plan. But in terms of content, it is my intention to do daily videos again. But it might look a little bit different this year. For the most part, it will be vlogs as it has been, but, I'm going to start filming a little earlier so that I have a little bit more of a buffer to edit videos. Because in the past, I've literally on November 1st, vlogging November 1st, editing November 1st, posting November 2nd. I'm living the day, filming the day, editing the day, all on the same day. And while that has been fine, the beginning of November for me, of course, is I have things going on, which is very unfortunate. And I did try my best to get out of them, but apparently I have to be there. So the first few days of November might be a little bit more of prep for whatever I end up doing, but it will still likely be vlog style. And I also, since last year, I feel my content has generally shifted a little bit. I do definitely, vlogs are still the bread and butter and will continue to be, but I also have really loved doing more sit down videos. And so I'm going to, in the next few days, have a Q&A go up. That is like, we're nearing 4,000 subscribers. I have as of last week posted like 400 videos on this channel. So just a Q&A for those milestones, but also we'll use the topics that are brought up in this comment section, but also in that Q&A, and maybe sprinkle in a higher volume of sit down videos than I have in the past. I think last year, like I did 3 sit down videos during the month. And this time I'm thinking maybe more like 1 or 2 videos of the week will be sit down rather than vlog. Just depending on how I'm feeling, what's going on. I say this every year as a caveat, like if for some reason I'm not able to like film or edit one day, I'm not being beholden to like, I have to post every single day. And so there might be a day where there's not anything, but it is my intention to film and post every day, or at least the majority of them. So if you have any specific types of videos that you'd like to see from me, feel free to comment those down below. And any video topics that you'd like to hear from me, all are welcome. But in terms of what I will likely be working on, my priority will be the edits on Project Gas Station. I don't know how. I haven't gotten the edit letter back yet, so I have no idea how extensive that is. That may take me all of November to do. I'm hoping. I don't know. I'm not hoping. I want to be like, my priority is the edits on that, and then I want to do them well. So I don't want to rush through them. But I would also love to be writing book 2 of Never Been, which is the fantasy duology. I don't know. I'd be fine taking a few weeks off, but also I feel like I'm in this really great momentum with writing this fantasy novel. And so I just kind of want to keep it going, even if it means I'm writing like 500 words a day of that project and then moving on to the edits of Gas Station. So it might be a situation where I'm writing 2 books at once, or it might just be hardcore back in the Gas Station revision trenches. If you are wanting to catch up on like, what is this project you're talking about? I do have a variety of playlists on this. Going back to the very beginning of this book, because the first time I did NaNoWriMo Daily Vlogs was when I was writing the first draft of Gas Station, which is now what I'm currently querying and then will be editing with Smooch Pit. So that is my personal NaNoWriMo plans. Nano November writing challenge month, whatever. I'm going to call it NaNoWriMo, even though I'm like literally probably not going to be writing 50,000 words. Like that's probably off the table at this point. But likely one of the first videos in November will be a more detailed, like, what am I actually doing? But if you're wanting somebody to keep you company while you write your books in November, feel free to subscribe and like this video and do all of the YouTube things. And I want to hear what you're working on in November. What challenge are you doing? What project are you working on? All those good things. I'm really excited. I feel like I'm so in my fantasy project right now. I'm in the middle of, well, not the middle of, I'm on the 2nd chapter of Act 3. So I am in the last stretch of that project. I feel like I've been working on it for a couple months now. And so I'm so in it, but it's going to be fun to go back to Gas Station, and I feel like very nostalgic, and I'm just excited for that fall writing spirit to come back, you know? Here is what we're not doing in November, okay? What we're not doing is we're not stressing. Well, okay, we can stress a little bit. A little bit of stress, allowed. A lot of stress, no. We're also not going to make goals that are impossible and beat ourselves up when they're not done. You know, we're not going to do that. I think there's a lot of prep that you can do to set yourself up for success. And I'm going to have a video, hopefully right around the beginning of November, talking about everything that I do and have to prepare for a first draft and to prepare to start a new book. And so look out for that content as well. But if you're feeling like you're not going to be quite ready, then don't plan to start drafting right away. Plan to spend the first week outlining. Like, don't count yourself out because of where you're at in a project. I think that is one of the advantages of the current NaNoWriMo landscape, is that you can pretty much make any goal that you want, and there is a system or a challenge that will accommodate that. So I will link hopefully all those things down below. And in the meantime, comment down below what you're working on in November, or any sort of blue emoji, and I will see you next time.